The Zephyrian warships hung in Earth's orbit like metallic vultures, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight into prismatic warnings. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, humanity's flagship, watching the alien vessels, through the view screen with steady eyes. 3 days had passed since first contact, and the message had been brutally simple: surrender or face extinction. "Admiral," Communications Officer Torres called out, his voice tight with tension, "the Zephyrian commander is hailing us again." Chen nodded grimly. "Put him through." The holographic display shimmered to life, revealing the imposing figure of High Commander Zarthul. The alien's 6 eyes gleamed like amber jewels set in a face that resembled polished obsidian. His voice, when it came through the universal translator, carried the weight of absolute certainty. "Primitive humans," Zarthul began, his tone dripping with disdain. "Your time grows short. My fleet has conquered 47 star systems. Entire civilizations have knelt before the might of the Zephyrian Empire. You have witnessed our power. Your pathetic orbital defenses crumbled like sand before our energy cannons. Submit now, and your species may serve as laborers in our empire. Refuse, and we shall reduce your world to cosmic dust." Admiral Chen stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in tense silence, their faces a mixture of fear and defiance. She had served in 3 interstellar conflicts, commanded fleets through the Centauri, wars, and never once had she considered surrender an option. "Commander Zarthul," she replied, her voice carrying across the void with unwavering strength. "Humanity appreciates your generous offer. However, we must respectfully decline." The alien's multiple eyes narrowed in what might have been confusion. "You would choose death over servitude? Your species lacks wisdom." "Perhaps," Chen said, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "But we possess something you clearly don't understand, something that has driven us from caves to stars." Zarthul's mandibles clicked with irritation. "Elaborate, human." "Hope, Commander. Stubborn, unreasonable, impossible hope." The transmission cut abruptly as the Zephyrian vessels began to move into attack formation. Chen turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Jackson, whose dark eyes reflected the same steel resolve that had carried humanity through countless dark hours. "Status report, Jackson." "All ships reporting ready, Admiral. The Europa and Titan squadrons are in position. Fleet strength, 42 vessels against their 73. Jackson paused, then added quietly, "The odds aren't in our favor." Chen's smile widened. Since when have humans ever cared about odds? Throughout human history, impossible victories had defined their species. At Thermopylae, 300 Spartans had held back an empire. During the Battle of Britain, a handful of pilots had saved a nation. In the siege of Stalingrad, a city had refused to die. Each time, logic had demanded surrender. Each time, humanity had answered with something else entirely. "Execute Operation Phoenix," Chen commanded. The order rippled through the human fleet, like wildfire. Ships that had appeared damaged and retreating suddenly exploded into coordinated motion. Hidden weapon platforms, disguised as space debris, powered up throughout the solar system. Most importantly, a signal pulsed outward from Earth, not to the human fleet, but to every corner of the galaxy where humanity had touched. The Zephyrians struck first, their energy weapons lancing through space with devastating precision. The human ship Endeavour took a direct hit and broke apart in a silent fireball. But for every human vessel that fell, 2 more seemed to materialize. from hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt. "Impossible!" Zarthul's voice crackled over the comm as his ships found themselves surrounded by a web of human vessels that shouldn't have existed. "Our intelligence indicated only 40 ships in your fleet." "Your intelligence was correct," Chen replied as the Defiant unleashed a barrage that sent one Zephyrian cruiser spinning into the void. 3 days ago. What the aliens hadn't understood, what no species that had ever encountered humanity had understood at first, was the sheer audacity of human preparation. While the Zephyrians had issued ultimatums, human engineers had worked around the clock. Civilian ships had been retrofitted with military-grade weapons. Mining vessels had been converted into mobile weapons platforms. Every human settlement, from Mars to Europa, had sent whatever they could spare. But the real surprise came when the hyperspace portals opened. Ships began emerging from faster-than-light transit all around the battlefield, vessels bearing the flags of humanity's colonies, from across known space. From New Geneva in the Alpha Centauri system, from the mining colonies of Proxima, from the agricultural worlds of Wolf 359. Each settlement had received Earth's call and had answered with every ship they could muster. "You see, Commander," Chen said as the tide of battle shifted dramatically in humanity's favor, "you made one critical error in your assessment of our species." Zarthul's ship shuddered under the combined fire of 6 human vessels. "What error?" he demanded. "You assumed that Earth was all of humanity. You assumed that one world could contain our entire species." Chen's voice carried the weight of 8 billion souls and the pride of 100 worlds. "We've been among the stars for 2 centuries, Commander. We've built communities in star systems you've never heard of. And when you threatened our homeworld, you threatened the family of every human in the galaxy." The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, Zarthul's flagship hung powerless in space, its weapons silenced and its hull breached. The surviving Zephyrian vessels fled toward the edge of the solar system, their supposedly invincible fleet reduced to scattered remnants. Chen stood before the holographic display once more, addressing the defeated alien commander. Behind her, damage reports streamed in. Humanity had paid a heavy price for victory, but they had won through the same quality that had carried them from their first steps out of Africa to their leap to the stars. "You came seeking our surrender, Commander," she said quietly. "Instead, you discovered something your empire has apparently forgotten, the power of a species that simply refuses to quit. We don't surrender because we can't surrender. It's not in our nature." Zarthul looked up from his damaged bridge, his amber eyes reflecting something that might have been newfound respect. "What are you humans?" Admiral Chen smiled, the expression carrying 40,000 years of human defiance. "We're the species that looked at impossible odds and decided to prove them wrong. We're the children of a world that tried to kill us. For millions of years, and we're still here. We're humanity, Commander, and we're just getting started." As the last Zephyrian ship disappeared into hyperspace, Earth's defenders began the long work of rebuilding. They had answered an ultimatum with the one thing aliens never expected: the combined fury and determination of a species that had turned stubbornness into an art form. The message would spread across the galaxy, carried by both human and alien tongues. Humanity did not surrender. Humanity endured.